Welcome to this podcast for Brighton School of Business and Management students studying for the Btec Level 5 courses. For this unit you will need to satisfy the criteria exactly as laid down in the assignment brief and as described here, but you should wherever possible use examples from your own organisation and business sector, as well as showing evidence of having studied the unit topics in depth and breadth by referring where appropriate to relevant models, theories and established best practices. To enhance your understanding of these assignment issues, we strongly advise that you also discuss them with operational and senior managers and HR specialists within your own organisation. Each section should be approximately 400 words, although this is flexible up to around 500 words, not including graphics or illustrations, so you will need to keep your responses focused on what is being specifically asked for in each section. Section 1. Here you need to briefly describe the different types of organisational structure and what different types and formats of culture can be found within organisations, and then compare and contrast them and look at what causes and creates each type and the positive and negative factors of each. Then discuss separately how the structure and culture can affect the business performance by comparing at least two different types of organisation from those you have described. For example, you could discuss the differences between a small, growing owner-manager, flat-structured entrepreneurial business and a large, established bureaucratic organisation such as a local authority or municipality. Then compare, for example, how quickly changes can be made, very quickly with immediate decisions made informally in a small organisation and very slowly after many meetings, reports, evaluations, etc. in a large bureaucratic organisation. For bullet point 3, list and discuss the factors which can influence the way individuals behave, for example, management and leadership style, pay and reward mechanisms, level of employee involvement in decision making, and so on. Section 2, you need to give a brief description here of the recognised established styles and then select two different styles as applied in two different types of organisation. For example, a large international company compared with a local municipality or council, and then discuss how effective each one of these is. For bullet point 2, you need to list the main organisational theories and models that you have been studying and researching, and then discuss how each one helps, supports and assists managers to effectively plan, organise, manage, control and respond to problems. Simple examples are knowledge, theories and models of how individuals are likely to respond to a major change. This can help managers to introduce or implement the change in a certain way to avoid some of the more negative responses that might occur. You could also look at theories and models of organisational structure and how these can influence the culture and behaviour of the organisation and its people. Bullet point 3 is about comparing how at the corporate or whole organisation level two different organisations apply management theory and theories of organisation to the way that their businesses are run. You need to select two very different organisations and then, as asked, compare their approaches. A simple comparison, as an example, would be to look at the Army and its approach to managing its ordinary soldiers, officers, teams and individuals, and compare this with a college or university and its approach to managing students, teachers and lecturers. Section 3, you need to give a brief description of the recognised leadership styles, but then discuss in detail how each one can positively or negatively affect the motivation and morale levels of individuals and teams in periods of change, that is, in the planning, implementation and aftermath of a major change. Here you need to give a brief description of each motivational theory, but then discuss in detail how they are and if they are applied in the workplace, then move on to discuss how motivational theory relates to the way people are expected to manage today. On bullet point 3, you need to briefly list and describe different motivational theories, then select one and use that to give your view of how an understanding and application of that motivational theory can assist and support managers in their activities. Section 4. Here you need to briefly explain the different group and team formal and informal structures, objectives, life cycle stages, types of dynamics, etc., and look at how all these factors can affect the behaviour of groups and teams within the workplace. Bullet point 2 needs to be looked at in a broad lateral way. For example, the structure of an organisation can affect team interactions and communications with other important teams. The management and leadership style of the line managers and specialist managers can be very damaging or very positive. A blame culture is also very damaging. The amount of individual personal development, progression opportunities, appraisal formats can also have an effect, and team development, access to technology, access to support from other teams and specialists can also be factors. Finally, you need to select a particular or given organisation or type of organisation, so don't address this bullet point in general terms, and then describe and evaluate the positive and negative impacts or potential impacts of current and emerging technologies such as computers, mobile phones, tablet devices, social media including Facebook and LinkedIn, video conferencing, the internet, intranets, laptops, remote working, etc. and look at how these emerging technologies affect the way teams function and operate. Don't forget that you also need to add a list of sources of information and references showing any books, websites, articles, case studies, reports, internal documents and people interviewed that you drew on in order to complete this assignment. The sources of information and references are not included in your word count. Here is a list of websites you should find useful when completing this assignment. And if you need any further help or assistance with this assignment, please contact your tutor.